Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So this will be the walkthrough for Prelim Paper 2 this year. Okay, so we're going to start doing all the questions like this. So this is our first question, the algebra question. The first part will be the simultaneous inequality. You'll see that there's three inequality here, or rather two. So you take this two here, you split it up into this two, and then you're going to solve it by itself. So if you solve, you get this, you solve, you'll get this. So at this point, you will have two answers. So you need to draw the number line here. Okay, so this is x more than half, that's why it's half. And then you can see that it's more because it goes to the right, and it's an open circle, no equal sign. So this one is x less than 2.5. So 2.5 is here. Less than means go to the left, and you can see that the two number lines overlap here. So that's where the answer is. So it's between these two numbers. So this drawing is pretty important because you cannot always assume that it's going to crisscross and cut in the middle. So you can see that in an example here, I have more than 5, more than 3. Actually, the overlap here. So that for this picture, the answer is just x more than or equal to 5. And that's when the average guy will do it wrong. Okay, so just take note. The next one will be completing the square. The moment you see this, something bracket square plus a number, you know it's completing the square. They will never say completing the square itself. Okay, so when it comes to completing the square, I always copy down the first two terms. I do the plus minus bracket square. So this plus, this minus, and then the minus 8 is at the back. Okay, so what is inside this bracket? I call it the magic number. I always take the x coordinate. In this case, is -5. Divided by 2, divided by 2. Okay, then when I combine, it's always going to be the first three terms, and then inside the bracket will be x and this number inside the bracket. That's why I like to put the negative here, even though it doesn't really affect anything. So this is the perfect square. And then over here you have, if you square this, it is actually positive 25/4, right? But there's a negative here. So that's why it's negative 25/4 minus 8. And then that's how you get the answer. Okay, next one will be simplify. So as with all simplify, you're going to factorize everything. So you need to factorize the numerator. This is actually a square minus b square in disguise, because the a is 1, the b is 3x. Yeah, so this is actually 3x bracket square. Yeah, so it's 1 square minus 3x bracket square. That's why it becomes 1 plus x at 1 plus 3x, 1 minus 3x. And then below, you factorize it by the cross method. Okay, cross method. So typically when you say simplify, you're looking to cancel things. If you look at these four brackets, nothing is the same actually, but there are some things that are quite close. You can see that this is 1 minus 3x, this is 3x minus 1. So if I negative this, I actually can make this bracket 3x minus 1. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to negative this. But if I negative this, I need to negative outside also to compensate. That's why you see there's a negative here, and inside I already done the negative. So these two now can cancel. I'm left with negative this over this. So that's where the answer is. Whether you or not you times the minus in, it doesn't really matter. So this is how you do it. Okay, the next one. The next question will be a typical solving of fractional algebra. So as always, we are going to combine the left side first. So this is as if it's cross multiply, because this fraction and this fraction, the denominator has no link. There's no link at all. So is this fraction needs to times this fraction needs to times this. Yeah, so this whole fraction needs to times 5 minus 3x here. Then this fraction needs to times x minus 1. That's why it looks like this. You notice that I still put the brackets here, because the number one deadly place you're going to make a mistake is this place. Negative x, then plus 1. So this plus 1 is where most of you would have gotten it wrong. So at this stage here, I already multiplied the denominator over. So it's one whole line. So basically, I'm just expanding all the brackets. Expand, everything shift to the left equals 0. And at this point, I'm just going to do the ABC quadratic formula solved. Okay, so that's the first question. So let's go for the question 2. So this one is a bit weird, because usually it's not this type of context. So this is our big quadratic question. So we can see that I have two cars, PQ, start from A, One goes to C, one goes to B. You notice I put the car P, car Q here, so it helps me see the whole thing better. And then eventually I want distance, right? So distance will be speed times time. They say that it's both of them 2 hours each. This is the speed, this is the speed. That's why the distance will be the speed times the time, which is the speed here, x plus 12 times the time in hours, which is 2. So this is the answer. Then the distance for the other one will be this one, because the speed will be x, and then also 2 hours, so it's 2x. So that's how this 2 came about. Then they say that distance between B and C is 120, so it's here, right? And the thing is, how do I form the equation? Because this is not our typical kind of a question, but the 60 degree is the hint here. I have a triangle, I have 3 sides, I have 1 angle. Okay, so actually the formula in this case is cosine rule. So this is the cosine rule. So in the cosine rule, we always start with the angle opposite the side opposite the angle. That's why I start with 120 first. You see, 120, the other 2 minus 2 times the other 2, cosine 60. So what's difficult about this is many people could write this down, but you couldn't simplify it because you didn't realize cosine 60 is actually just half. You press the calculator, you will get half. The other one you get wrong is you don't know how to expand this. You see, if you at this point you're still thinking this is just 4x squared plus 24 squared, then you're so in trouble because this is not even close. This is a plus b squared equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So this is the a squared. This is the 2ab because it's 2 times this, so that's why it's here. And this is the 24 squared. So most of you got this wrong, or you got this wrong. Okay, so once you do it, you realize that you get this phrasing, which is the the one you need to show. So this question is wrong. Okay, so after that, if you continue the question, they ask you to solve this. So this is quite standard, right? No matter whether you can prove or not, you just take this, do the ABC, solve. After that, they give you the last part. Now I always say these 2 answers will never be the exact answer for the last part. You've got to take one of the numbers and do something. So in this case, it's quite clear that it cannot be negative in this case. And then I'm going to take this. And they say that the return journey took 20 minutes more for Q. So if I look back at the picture, you see this is where it's so convenient. The car Q is here, right? So I go here, I come back. So it's the same distance, it's still 2x. But the time taken is 20 minutes more. So its speed is always going to be distance divided by time. So this is the distance never change because 2x, right? But the time, instead of 2, it becomes 2 and 20 over 60. Where did this come from? Because this is 20 minutes. Our time here is hours. So it needs to be converted to hours. So it's 20 minutes over 60 minutes. So do the maths, you solve the question. Okay, so the next one is question 3. So this is a bit of a real life. Okay, so they say you bought a TV 1688, you save 6%. So in other words, this 1688 is 94%. So what do we want? We want original cost. So that means it's 100%. So what I do is from 94, I get 1%, I get 100%. It's just like primary school, right? So I take this number, divide by 94, then times 100. So here, so this is the working. So this is the answer. Okay, after that, they say there's a higher purchase. So you pay 40% as down payment, and the remaining you're going to pay installment for 3 years, monthly installment. So you pay 36 times, because it's 12 times 3. And then the interest is 2% per year. So what we do is we need to count the 40% of the full price. Take note, you must use the long decimal, not this. You must use this. Okay, you take this one, 40%, then you minus away. So this is the amount of money you need to so-called pay interest. And then we need to find what? 2% per year. And I borrow for 3 years. That's why it's 2 over 100 and times 3 years. And this is the actual amount that's so-called you need to pay. Then this is $64. So the total money you need to pay is this one plus the interest. So I plus together, divided by 36, because there's 36 months over 3 years. Okay, so after this, you have this long story. At the end of the day, you just need to calculate the total number, the government has budgeted for the two plans. So that will be this number and this number add together. After all the long story, it's just these two. So what you need to know is billion is 10 to the power 9, million is 10 to the power 6. This is common enough that they're not going to give it to you in O levels. You are expected to know billion and million. So it's just this times 10 to the power 9 here, this times 10 to the power 6 here. How do I get this? You press calculator. Okay, you don't need to go and manipulate yourself. Calculator straight away. Okay, after that, they say that 64% of the Singapore's population will get the money. How much does each Singaporean pay? This is basic maths, right? So the total money from the previous part divided by the total number of people. Well, the total number of people is not this number. It is 64% of this number. That's why it's this million. You times 64 over 100 and then you press calculator. Okay, next one. They say increase of GST, right? So it used to be 7%, now become 9%. And because of this, his expenses increased by $28. So in other words, 2% is 28%. So the next question is, what do I want to find? Do I want to find 100%? Actually, no, but I want to find his expenses before the GST increase. So before is 7%, right? So actually I want 7%. So same thing, from 2%, I find 1%, and I times 7. So this one divided by 2 times 7. That's the answer. Okay, so the next question will be our classic trigo question. So this is very, very classic. Like almost all questions should function like this. So you have the question, you need to read everything. You notice that every single number is in the question as in the paper, right? It's in the question, it's in the diagram also. So this is quite friendly. After that, I need to find AC. So AC is here. Usually you're looking for sine rule, cosine rule, but in this case, it happens to be a Pythagoras theorem thing because of the right angle triangle. So this square plus together equal to this square. So you see here, this plus together is this one. So that's how you do it. So the next part will be this one, where they ask you to find angle ACB. So let's get the diagram back. So ACB will be here. So earlier in question 2, we already did cosine rule. And we did Pythagoras theorem, so it's very likely that this is going to be sine rule because I haven't used it, right? So this is the angle, and you see that we just found this. Usually whenever you just find something, it's going to be used. So you can see that it's this 2 and this 2. You form the sine rule there. So that's how it's done. So you write the sine rule down to solve for this angle. This one needs to times over, and then you times over, become like that. Then the whole thing's sine inverse. So you get the answer. After that, I want total area of the field. So the field will be both the triangles. So this triangle area is half base times height. This one can be done by half AB sine C. So in my case, I'll do a half AB, and because I got this 2, I can find this one. So it's half AB sine C. So that's what the working here is about. You find that third angle, half AB sine, half is times height, half AB sine C. Then you add together, that's the answer. Okay, so the next part will be this one, the greatest angle of elevation from a point AC to the top of the flagpole. So this is usually the part that's a bit harder. So it's somewhere here, and then you want to look up at P. So when the angle of elevation is the largest, you must understand that this is the nearest. So what is nearest? So this base and this person on the ground must be as near as possible. So this is the perpendicular distance because that's where it's nearest. So in the diagram, it looks like this. So this dotted line, we call it X for the time being, is the one that you need to figure out first. Okay, so there's a few ways to do this. Usually we do triangle equal triangle, but in this case, because we got the right angle triangle here, and then I got this, and I also got this angle. So actually, Tuakaso is easier. So if I sine this 49.6 is equal to X over 4.3. So it's here. So easily I can solve for X. Then after that, once I got this dotted line, it's basically here. You see this dot to the B. So it's dot to the B. And then the flagpole is 5.7, right? So it's here. It goes up. So from here, I'm looking up. So this is the angle I want. So if I have this 2 and I want the angle, it's going to be tangent. So tangent is this over this. So this over this. Then you tangent inverse, finish. Okay. So this is our classic trigo question. Very, very classic. Next one, we'll do one more. This will be the graph question. So same thing, to find P, you just sub 5 here, no problem. Then you just plot lah. Right? So the first thing that needs to be done is this one. Range of values of x for which y more than 5. So when you see range of value, that means an inequality. So your answer is an inequality, not one number. And then what do you want when y equal to 5? What y? This y. So the y values of the graph needs to be more than 5. Let's look at the graph. So this is the graph. Let me zoom this out a bit. Okay, so this is the graph. So where are the values where y is equal to 5? So y values are all here, right? So I'm looking at here, 5. So I draw a line, y equal 5. And where do I want? I want more than 5, right? So it's here. Okay, it's here. And it's here. So the question is, where are the x values that give me all these things? So if I just cover up the parts that I don't want, I take a tissue here. 5 is here, right? I only want this part. What are the x value? Here, right? All this value will go up here. Is the x value. So it's less than 0.8 because when they cut is 0.8. See, they cut 5. And on the other side, you also have the same thing. So 5 is here, right? You cut here. I cover with the tissue. It's only this part. And where are the x value? X values are all here, which is more than 3.2. So what's so significant about these two numbers is this 0.8 and 3.2 is where you go a bit more, a bit less is less or more, because at these 2 points is exactly 5. Okay, so that's how you do this question. Let's go back to the next parts. Okay, so it doesn't settle. You notice that it's less than 8, more than 3.2. Now, the average fella will do this. All your life you don't understand that. This doesn't mean this, this is totally different, because this means x is between these two. That's not even close to the answer, right? So this is the actual answer. This is an inequality too. Okay, so next, let me zoom back, big. Okay, I want to draw this line, right? So this is very easy. You just plot 3 points. So based on what the graph has, you can see that in the graph paper we have about 0 to 8. I mean, I will choose 0, 1, 2 lah. I'm just being lazy, right? The easier number, the better. But in this working, they chose to spread out the numbers, so it's, I don't know. Okay, so I just do 1. Okay, so if x is 0, I sub 0, so it's 0 over 2, 0 plus 7, 7. I do the same. I get 3 points. I plot the 3 points. In this case, it will be here, here, and here. I draw. So it better be a straight line. If it's not a straight line, you must have done the maths wrong. Okay, after that, you draw already. It's 3 marks, 3 marks. So you draw, they say where this line and the curve intersect. So you just basically look at the graph. It cuts here and here, right? And then you go and figure out the y value, go down the y value, that's it. Okay, so in our case, based on the graph drawn, this is the 2 value. So next part is the one that's the difficult part. So every question will have something like this. So they say that these 2 numbers, which is these 2, are the solutions of an equation. Okay, so these 2 numbers are actually what? Intersection point of the line and the curve. And when we solve an equation that gives these 2, any equation we solve is always going to be intersection point. Any equation is going to be the intersection point of the graph. So come from where? Intersect line and curve. That's why the equation will be curve equal to line. So what is the curve? The curve is here. Come from where? Here. The equation of the curve, then equal to the equation of the line, which is this one. This is the line we draw, right? So this one. That's why our starting point will be curve equal to line, because solving this will give me these 2 numbers. Okay. And after that, but I don't want it to look like this, because they say the equation must look like this. So from here, I need to transform this to look at this. So this is very daunting. This is a bit more difficult than normal. So what I notice is there's an x square here. There's no x square here. There's a something over x here. And there's no something over x here. So clearly this x needs to go away. And there's another fraction here, half. So I'm going to do it at the same time. I'm going to do every single number times x times 2. That's why I say times 2x here. So when you do that, the x cancels and then times 2, 10. This one, you times 2x become 4x squared. This one times 2x becomes 6x. This one times 2x become x squared, and so on. At this point, you realize that there's nothing over x, and there's no number that's dividing. Almost there. And I notice that this is equal to 0. So these 2 things need to shift to the left. I get 0. I simplify this, I get here. So how do you know that you are correct? you get the equal 0, you happen to have the plus 10 too. At this point, it is very unlikely that you're going to get it wrong. You already got it already. So you're just comparing 3 and the x squared, right? So 3x squared, ax squared. So a must be 3. And this is negative 20, this is b. So b must be negative 20. Common sense. Okay, so that's your so-called difficult question for the graph. Yes, I think I can still go one more. Okay, let's go one more then. Okay, so this is circle property. So if you read all these things, I see circle, I see diameter, I see parallel, I see 72, I see 12. Okay, it's all there. So first thing is I need to find PTQ. So that will be PTQ. So this one. Okay, so how do we do this? Is in this case, it's going to be using the parallel lines, the Z, the alternate angle. Okay, because this is a isosceles triangle. So I always say got center means got radius means got isosceles. So this is 72. You divide minus 180 divided by 2, you get the 54. So this and this is the same. Then you minus away the 12. So that's it. Okay. After that, I want TQS. TQS will be T. And you notice I write the 42 here, the answer. Okay, so TQS is this one. So in this case, I do what I call the backward tracing method. So I start with the angle I want. I trace back. It's here, right? So I trace back. It's T and S. Then my question is, does T and S go to somewhere else? So you see, it comes here. So these two are the same angles in the same segment. So straight away, same answer. Okay. After that, I need to show that SOP is the diameter. So where SOP? So like that. So in SOP, so if this is the diameter, like what's the big deal, right? Diameter, there's only one property. There's the angles in a semicircle. So if I take these two, I join somewhere, it's going to be 90. So there's a few ways to do this. You can prove that this angle is 90, or you can prove that this angle is 90. So up to you. So there are a few ways to do it. But we are sure that this is a diameter too, because this runs through the center. So in this way, we do it like that. Because this is diameter, this angle will be 90. So this I have, I can easily find this. Once I have this, I can show that these three add together is 90 degrees. So that means from here, if I join like that, this angle is 90 degrees, hence this is a diameter. So that's the working here. I'm going to leave it to you. You can pause the video. Okay, so this will be the circle property question. Okay, so there's a part B got. Okay, so let's finish this. So this is a bit of arc length add together, right? So I have two circles, blah blah blah. The radius is 6. This is 3. So everything is 3 here. Then after that, they tell you major sector area is this. So where's the major sector is BOA. So it's BOA, but it's not this one because it's major. So it's the shaded one. Okay, the shaded one is 7.5. So I just slot it into the formula. It's half r squared theta, right? So half, then the radius is 3, so it's r squared theta. So if I shift it around, so it's basically I divide the 9 over, I divide the half, so it's like that. Press calculator, you get this. But this is not the answer, because this is for this angle, the big one, because I use the big area. So I need to take 360 minus, which is 2 pi. So this is the one, so proven. Okay, so after that, I want the perimeter of the shaded part. Now this looks very complicated, as if there's a lot of things, but if you look at it objectively, there's only one circle, because everything you need to count, and there's one arc, followed by this 3, 3, 3, 3. So alright, so if you look at it from a different kind of view, it is just the arc, which is this one, the whole circle, which is this circle, and the 3, 3, 3, 3, which is this. So that's all the things you need to add. Okay, so that's how we do it. So we basically just do one by one. So let's do the arc. So this arc, the angle is pi over 3, right? We found out, we proved it already. So I slot the formula r theta. Then this is just a circle, right? Circumference circle is 2 pi r, so it's 2 pi r. That's why it's here. Then plus the 3. Press calculator, we're done. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. I'm going to rest and take the other question in a separate video.